Men, what's the stupidest way you've hurt your balls? There was this one time I tried to get up in an explosive way so I would open the door and get back to my online game. And I managed to kick myself super hard in the balls. I crawled to the door, opened it and just laid there in agony. I tried to swat a fly on my leg. Don't ask me how, but I missed and nailed the twins. Super tight compression underwear. Had to pee. Pull open the waistband to release the kraken. Waistband slips off thumb. Unholy. Elastic energy gets released directly into testicle. Proceed to pee, but with teary eyes. Have you ever wound up an extension cord over your arm so it's in a nice bundle? If you've got a cord with a heavy-duty end, it can come in swinging like a wrecking ball, and if that last little bit is just the right length, it can definitely wreck some balls. In and of itself, I wouldn't call that stupid. But doing it again 90 seconds later with the second cord. Yeah, not my brightest moment. I once had a truck without power steering. Quickly cranking the wheel, my hand slipped and smacked myself right in the twins. Lost control of truck and ended up driving up and damaging a nicely landscaped embankment. Or, I was putting on a belt with a large belt buckle. I was in a hurry so I got through the first belt loop and gave it a mighty yank and the buckle came up and busted my berries. Men, slow down and save your balls. Went horse riding on my honeymoon. So much pain there was no other riding. Cutting jalapenos for a corn salsa. Touched the boys afterwards. Immediately they started feeling warm and the pain slowly started increasing. First I tried washing them with water. Then I tried showering and shampooing them. Finally, in a move of desperation, I filled up a cereal bowl of milk and dipped my balls in it. Instant relief. I waddled back up to my room, leaving a trail of milk behind me. Thank God I was the only person home. I was swinging my niece by her arms, and her legs were limp, dangling. So on one of the swings, I swung her hard enough that her heel hit me in the nuts. My niece is insisting, again. Meanwhile I am standing there forgetting to breathe, holding my breath, telling her with a little grunt in my voice. Not, right, now. Tío, uncle in Spanish, is tired. Single quote. I smashed my balls between two dumbbells I was using at the gym doing deadlifts. Held the dumbbells in a different position than usual, elbow or shoulder issues. So every time I did a rep the dumbbells tapped each other. One set I wasn't careful and they smashed my balls. This happened pre-pandemic and I finally got around to getting this checked out. Cut chilies, scratched balls, then cupped balls as instinctive reaction to searing agony, making it much worse. Had a friend do this. Swears he screamed and wife asked what's wrong. Told her and she came in with a cup of yogurt. He said I am burning not hungry. She said, yeah, stick your balls in it. While working in a garage and using two floor jacks to jack the front end of a Ford F-150 up. I had the LF jacked up and while I was jacking up the RF the other jack slipped out from under the control arm and the handle racked me in the nuts from behind. Terrible. In a fight, some guy tried to punch my balls. So I blocked him but also elbowed myself there. Having a skateboard snap underneath me on a railing. Now ill only produced half as many kids as every other male. Edit. Thanks Reddit. Now my top-rated comment is about how I broke my balls. A long time ago, I was hooking up with this girl who didn't speak English. But I was able to speak at a basic level. Her native language. As we were hooking up, I tried to ask her if she could place them in mouth. But instead I must have said, "Can you bite them?" It was incredibly painful. I still wince to this day when I think about that moment. When I was 13 I taped my cock and balls to my thighs with packaging tape. After a girl said she could see what I was packing through my jeans. Never doing that again. Not me, but my ex was smoking weed with a hole in his pants and he was freeballing. He laughed while hitting the bowl and the embers came out and fell into his pants. Directly into his dick, balls. Then he jumped up and broke the glass pipe. And stepped on the glass while barefoot. I saw kids climb up a metal pole using their arm strength. Young and stupid me thought this is accomplished by charging toward the pole as fast as possible and just jumping on it with all your might. Wham! Some girls walked by and saw me grabbing my crotch with both hands rolling on the ground, crying my eyes out. I think they giggled. Just talking about this brings back the epic physical and emotional destruction I endured. Shot myself point blank range in the testicle with a toy revolver that shot rubber bullets. This is hard to write as I'm getting a sense memory, so I have to stop now. I was trimming my ball hair with the machine. Cut a blood vessel. It hurt like hell. For the next 2 days I was unable to move as my balls had swollen and were hurting all the time. Ultimately, little packets under my skin appeared that were full of a clear liquid. It healed on its own. I did not dare tell my parents. Sat on them at a job interview and immediately jumped back up again. The woman leading the interview gave me a strange look whilst her male colleague, who probably realized what had just happened, tried not to burst out laughing. Got kicked by a horse as I was walking by. The same way I always did with the same horse. He had no indication of anger or frustration. He just decided it would be cool to kick me in the dick. Haven't had any smooth brain ball busters. But the worst was when I used to umpire as a young teen. Was behind home plate. Pitcher threw a ball in the dirt that bounced up behind the plate and right up underneath, behind my cup into my nutsack. That was a tough game to finish. Any FIFA player will know that when you buy FIFA you sign yourself up to a series of anger, frustration, broken controllers. I used to have a supremely crappy chair that was half broken. So when FIFA made me rage I would just punch the chair. It got to a point where the best place to punch it was the gap between my legs. Then one day I went commando. I was folding my kids' clothes. I was flapping down one of my son's jeans. The hem of the leg whipped and cracked me right on my left butt. It was extremely excruciating. I was literally rolling in the ground. My wife was rolling in the ground too. But she was laughing. I was hanging out laundry and kind of whipping, slapping the shirts to get creases out before I hung them up. Ended up whipping myself in the nuts. On 2 occasions. In the same sitting. I have one of those sex ramp wedge pillows. It's very helpful because the taller side is where the action happens. One time, I was having sex with my fiancé in the missionary position. Things were heating up and my pelvic thrust was pushing her back a bit. Also, her head is on the natural decline of the ramp. So physics just leads her down this way. Anyways, I'm leaning forward a bit more now. And in one giant thrust, I kind of lifted her butt up. And naturally, my balls got trapped in the void created by her ass and the pillow. I had to take a moment. Stepped on the end of a rake so the handle would fly up and I could be slick and catch it. I did not catch it. I went paintballing with a few friends one day and it was going well until we were doing a team deathmatch. I was stuck in a building that had a bench in it but empty besides that. I started making a move to get out of there when someone from the opposing team came charging in and me in a moment of shock and Rambo instincts I threw myself back into the bench in the room in hopes of getting the guy. But unlucky for me I'm not Rambo and due to me throwing myself back I was now in a fetal-like position with my legs in the air. The man shot me right in the balls and ass from 6 feet away with a paintball rounds that didn't even burst. Regardless of the rules that the ball had to burst for you to get out, I was out due to a completely different ball bursting. To add insult to injury, I had to run across a field gun up in the air, my other hand clutching my balls and praying no one was cruel enough to shoot me more as I was running until I finally left to play area and collapsed behind a barrel for cover. Playing an MMO with a laptop on my lap. Long story short, my testicles suffered second-degree burns. I am M18, and in my senior year of HS, but the stupidest way was the worst also. I wrestled in middle school and one day after practice I am riding the after-school bus home. I was so tired that without noticing I sat down on the boys slightly. I rode with my balls under the pressure of my weight for about 20 minutes. When I stood up it was the worst pain I've ever felt. The pain instantly took me to my knees and I started to cry. I shuffled off the bus and puked for a good 10 minutes on my hands and knees at the end of my street. An ant was on my dad's sock, so I started shaking the sock and the fucker landed on me, so I started to spaz and essentially smack all parts of me and hit myself twice in my sack. It wasn't even hard, but it still hurt. This was this month, by the way. When I was a teen, I was into skateboarding. Need you read on? Near my house there was a high, concaved curb where lorries backed up for deliveries, with a bollard directly above. Being of an age that I was filled with overconfidence in my own ability and a lack of concern for breaking bones, I decided that I could stand on top of the bollard and drop in on the curb. For some reason though, I didn't have the most sensible idea for getting atop the bollard. Rather than climbing onto it like a normal human being might, I thought a running jump was the way to go. Towards the bollard I ran, skateboard in hand, and leapt through the air. My leading foot had the briefest of contact with the top of the bollard before continuing on past. My brain at this point remembering how momentum works and realizing the error I had made. Suffice to say I did a complete cartwheel before landing in a heap on the floor with much regret in my tackle. Was riding my motorcycle trying to charge the battery up when I stopped at a three-way intersection that had a light. The motorcycle stalled and I pushed it over to a gas station so I could kick-start it. The light was red for all three ways, so everybody was stopped at it for a second. That's when I kicked it and my foot slipped. Everybody had a clear view of me slamming my balls into the top of the gas tank. I could hear them gasp as I strained to turn the key off. 26 years ago. Naked fishing on a 10-day vacation with hottie girlfriend in Everett, Canada. No other humans within miles or they'd have heard the scream as I did a big backswing for a long cast. The Rapala lure caught me. One treble on the shaft. The other treble on the right twin. Pretty much wrecked the remainder of the trip. Managed to remove the lure, give myself an excruciating soak with peroxide, and lay about for the next 3 days. Fortunately, no infection or long-term damage. 6 months later, we revisited the cabin and had a great time. But I never again fished au natural. Never told that story before now. Hurts just thinking about it. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.